Imagine for a moment that you wake up tomorrow morning and realize, truly realize, that your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. That every word, every image, every quiet whisper in your mind is shaping the world you live in. Now, that might sound simple, perhaps even too simple. But after 40 years of studying the habits, struggles, and triumphs of thousands of men and women, I can tell you this: it is the truth. I have met men who began with nothing but a dream, and the courage to hold it in their minds long enough to make it real. And I've met others who had every advantage: education, money, opportunity, but who drifted through life, never knowing where they were going, and so they arrived nowhere. The difference between these two kinds of people lies in a secret so strange, so subtle, that most never see it. But once you do, once you understand it, nothing in your life will ever be the same again. I discovered that success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. I saw that those who achieved great things weren't lucky, weren't chosen, and weren't born under a special star. They were men and women who decided very clearly what they wanted, and then thought about it every single day. Their dominant thoughts became their reality. And so I say to you, we become what we think about. That is the strangest and yet the most powerful secret in the world. As I studied these people, executives, artists, laborers, dreamers, I found that the ones who succeeded had a definite purpose. They woke up each morning with something to move toward. The unsuccessful had no direction. They were like ships without a rudder, tossed by the winds of circumstance, hoping that somehow they'd drift into a safe harbor. But no ship has ever reached its destination by drifting. You must chart a course, and hold it no matter how rough the sea becomes. Let me share with you something extraordinary, something that can alter the entire direction of your life, if you will only pause long enough to listen, and to truly understand. Every day you and I walk through a world that reflects back to us the sum total of our own thoughts, not in some mysterious or magical way, but through a natural, predictable law of cause and effect. What you plant in your mind, you will harvest in your life. It may come dressed in different forms: opportunity, relationship, success, or failure, but make no mistake, it always comes. Picture for a moment that your mind is a garden. The soil is rich, fertile, and ready to grow anything you choose to plant. You can plant seeds of achievement, confidence, and abundance, or you can plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation. The soil does not care. It will return to you exactly what you sow. If you neglect it, weeds will grow. If you tend to it carefully, it will yield a harvest beyond imagination. And so, the real question is not whether life will respond to you. It always does. But how it will respond, based entirely on what you are giving it to work with. You see, most people drift through life never realizing that this law is working on them every moment. They think circumstances shape them. They think luck decides their future. They believe that success belongs to a chosen few, those with money, education, or influence. But this is not true. Every great achievement that ever existed began as a thought in the quiet chambers of the human mind. A business, a symphony, a book, a new invention, a work of art, all began with someone daring to hold an idea long enough and to believe in it deeply enough for it to take form. Now, the tragedy is that while every person is born with this same power, only a handful ever use it deliberately. The rest allow the world to think for them. They react instead of creating. They accept instead of deciding. And slowly, without ever realizing it, they become prisoners of their own unexamined thoughts. They live lives of quiet frustration, wondering why things never change, never improve, never reach the level they once dreamed of. The reason is simple. The garden has been left unattended, and the weeds have taken over. If you were to study the lives of the most successful people in history, you would find a pattern so consistent that it can hardly be ignored. They all began by setting their minds on a definite purpose. They knew where they were going, even if no one else believed it possible. They imagined the results so vividly that it began to shape their behavior, their speech, their actions, and eventually, their destiny. They didn't merely hope for success, they expected it. Their dominant thoughts became their reality, because the human mind is built to create what it continuously contemplates. Consider this. Every human being carries within them a mechanism designed to bring their most persistent thoughts into reality. When you focus on something, truly focus, your mind begins to seek out information, people, and opportunities that align with that thought. You start to notice doors that were always there but had gone unseen. You speak differently, you walk differently, and you act with a quiet certainty that others can feel. That's not coincidence. That's the natural response of a mind that knows where it's going. On the other hand, when your mind is filled with fear, self-doubt, and worry, that same mechanism goes to work, but in reverse. It begins to find reasons why things won't work. It brings you evidence of limitation and failure. You attract circumstances that confirm what you already believe. You might say the world becomes the mirror of your own expectation, and so the old saying proves itself again and again, as a man thinketh, so is he. Now, this is not a matter of positive thinking alone. Thinking positively about failure will not make it disappear. What matters is directed thought, thought tied to purpose, thought supported by faith, and followed by action. When your mind is fixed upon a worthy goal, and you feed that thought daily with belief and discipline, you awaken a force within you that begins to move mountains. The circumstances of your life will rearrange themselves to align with that inner picture. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. Every person listening to these words is, at this very moment, becoming something. The process never stops. The only question is, what are you becoming? You can let the world decide, or you can decide for yourself. You can drift, or you can steer. The power has been given to you freely, but it must be used deliberately. Life will always respond to your dominant thoughts, and so the secret lies not in waiting for better days, but in thinking better thoughts. Today, right now. When this truth finally settles in, when you understand that you are not the product of your environment, but the architect of it, something remarkable happens. You stop blaming and start building. You stop wishing and start working. You stop hoping for luck and begin living by law. And from that moment on, every day becomes a tool. Every thought a seed, every action a brick in the construction of the life you were meant to live. That is where success begins, not in wealth or position, but in the quiet decision to take command of your own mind, to plant only what you wish to harvest, and to never again let the weeds of fear and doubt take root in your garden. For as surely as the sun rises each morning, you will reap what you sow, and you alone hold the seeds. There is a simple truth that separates those who live meaningful, successful lives from those who drift aimlessly. The former know exactly where they are going. They have a goal, a purpose so clear that it shapes their thoughts, directs their actions, and colors every decision they make. The latter, though often just as intelligent and capable, never make that decision. They wake up each day reacting to whatever happens, going wherever the tides of circumstance carry them. And because they have never chosen a destination, they arrive nowhere in particular. The tragedy is not that they lack potential, it is that they lack direction. If you were to observe a ship setting out to sea, you would notice that before it ever leaves the harbor, its entire journey has been planned. The captain knows precisely where he's going, how long it will take, and which route will lead him there. He has charts, instruments, and a crew who understand the destination. Now imagine another ship, same size, same strength, but with no course charted, no crew trained, no rudder, no plan. It simply drifts wherever the wind and waves take it. Ask yourself, what will happen to that second ship? It might survive for a while, perhaps even drift close to a harbor now and then, but sooner or later, it will end up wrecked on the rocks or lost at sea. That ship is the perfect picture of most lives. Without a clear purpose, no amount of talent, energy, or opportunity can bring fulfillment. The first step, then, toward any form of achievement is to know what you want. That may sound simple, but it is extraordinary how few people ever stop to decide. They say they want success, but cannot define what success means to them. They say they want happiness, but cannot describe what would make them happy. They say they want wealth, but cannot say how they would earn it or why. Vague wishes produce vague results. The human mind cannot move toward a fog. It needs a clear, vivid image to organize its power. Once that image is set, the subconscious begins to work ceaselessly toward it, seeking out people, ideas, and events that align with that picture. You see, the moment you decide upon a definite goal, your mind changes. It becomes magnetized. It begins to draw toward you the resources necessary to make that goal a reality. But if you do not decide, it still works. Only now it draws confusion, aimlessness, and failure, because those are the thoughts that occupy it. The law is impartial, it does not choose sides. Whatever you impress upon your mind, whether positive or negative, it will express in your life. This is why you must choose your purpose carefully and hold it firmly. It should be something that excites you, something that stirs your imagination, something that gives meaning to your efforts. When you know what you want, every challenge becomes bearable, every setback becomes a lesson, and every small victory becomes a step toward the vision that calls you forward. Without that purpose, even comfort becomes dull and even success feels empty because there is no direction guiding it. Purpose is the invisible compass of achievement. It gives structure to thought, order to effort, and meaning to sacrifice. It does not need to be grand or famous. It only needs to be real. A teacher shaping young minds, a craftsman perfecting his skill, a mother raising her children with love and discipline. Each can live with greatness if the work is done with clear intention and belief in its worth. Success, after all, is not measured by comparison with others, but by progress toward a goal of one's own choosing. Once your purpose is defined, your attitude changes as naturally as day follows night. You begin to wake up with energy instead of resistance. Problems become puzzles to solve rather than walls to fear. You stop wasting time on trivial things because your mind is occupied with something larger. You begin to attract others who think and act like you because success has its own kind of gravity. It pulls together those who are moving in the same direction. It is remarkable how life bends to serve the person who knows where he is going. Opportunities that once went unnoticed suddenly appear. The right words come at the right time. The right door opens just when it's needed. To the outsider, it looks like luck. But it isn't luck. It's law. A person who holds a definite purpose in mind is not waiting for chance. He is creating conditions that make chance inevitable. And what of fear, doubt, and delay? They lose their power when confronted with purpose. You cannot be paralyzed by uncertainty when you know why you act. You cannot be discouraged by setbacks when you know they are part of a larger plan. And you cannot be swayed by the opinions of others when your direction is set by conviction rather than convenience. Purpose turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers because it gives them something greater than comfort to live for. So many waste their lives waiting for motivation, never realizing that motivation is born the moment purpose is chosen. The spark does not come first. It is the act of choosing that lights it. Once you decide, you begin to see the path, not all at once, but step by step, as if each mile of the road is revealed only after the previous one is walked. That is how progress unfolds, not through sudden leaps, but through steady movement in a chosen direction. The world belongs to the person who knows where he is going, who wakes each morning with a reason to act, and who holds in his mind the picture of a life worth building. For such a person, failure is temporary, difficulty is training, and success is certain, because the outcome has already been decided. In thought, long before it appears in form, there is a powerful truth that lies quietly within every person, often undiscovered, yet it governs every achievement, every failure, every great turning point of life. It is the realization that success is not something to be pursued like a prize running ahead of you. It is something that is attracted by the person you become. The world does not pay you for what you wish to be, it rewards you for what you are. The great secret is that success is not a destination, but a reflection, an echo of your own inner growth. When you improve yourself, when you discipline your mind, when you build the habits and character worthy of success, then success will come, and it will come inevitably. Every person dreams of a better life, more wealth, more peace, more purpose. But few understand that to receive more, you must first become more. The law of life does not allow something for nothing. If you wish to have better health, you must live in ways that support it. If you wish to have more opportunity, you must prepare yourself to recognize and handle it. If you desire greater influence, you must first become a person of greater understanding and integrity. Everything in the outer world is but a mirror, reflecting the inner condition of the mind and spirit. Imagine two people standing before a fireplace. One says, "Give me heat, and then I'll put in the wood." The other says, "No, I'll gather the wood first, and then the fire will come." The second is the only one who understands the law of cause and effect. Life works the same way. You must first give before you can receive. You must first become before you can attract. The mind, character, and habits you build are the wood. the raw material that produces the warmth of success. Without that preparation, you may stand before the fireplace of life forever, shivering in the cold, wondering why the fire never starts. This principle is as old as humanity itself. Every book of wisdom, every philosophy of progress has taught it in one form or another that the outer world follows the inner. Yet, in an age of instant gratification, this truth is often forgotten. People want the rewards without the work, the respect without the responsibility, the success without the sacrifice. But nature does not permit shortcuts. The seed must grow roots before it bears fruit. The person must grow in discipline, patience, and understanding before he can handle the power of achievement. Otherwise, what is gained quickly is lost just as easily. The moment a person begins to take full responsibility for his thoughts and actions, he steps out of the crowd of dreamers and into the small company of creators. He stops blaming fate, luck, or circumstance, and realizes that he is shaping his world by the very quality of his thinking. If he fills his mind with fear, doubt, and resentment, then those things will manifest in his experiences. But if he fills it with courage, faith, and purpose, then opportunity will begin to appear in the most unexpected ways. You can trace every success back to a person who thought in harmony with their desire. They believed not merely in the outcome, but in their capacity to deserve it. To become the kind of person who attracts success, you must train your mind as carefully as an athlete trains his body. You must choose your thoughts with intention, because they are the blueprints of your destiny. Every action begins with an idea, and every idea gains power as it is repeated. When you hold an image of yourself succeeding, when you act as though it were already true, you begin to align your behavior with that picture. Gradually, without forcing it, you start making the choices that lead you there. This is not wishful thinking. It is the law of concentration and belief working in your favor. Many people misunderstand this and think that thinking alone is enough. But thought is only the beginning. It must be joined with faith, persistence, and action. The farmer who prepares his soil and plants the seed has faith that the harvest will come, but he also labors daily to ensure it does. The same is true of success. You cannot simply wish yourself into prosperity. You must work yourself into alignment with it. Every small effort, every disciplined habit, every moment spent learning or improving is like watering the seed of your own future. And as you change, something remarkable happens. The world begins to respond differently to you. Doors that were once closed begin to open. People who once ignored you begin to take notice. Challenges that once frightened you now seem manageable, even necessary, because they test and strengthen the new person you are becoming. Success is not a single event. It is a continuous relationship between who you are and what you attract. When your character grows, your world expands. There is no mystery in achievement. The laws that govern it are as clear and unchanging as the laws of gravity. You cannot draw to yourself wealth while thinking thoughts of scarcity. You cannot draw to yourself respect while living in ways that contradict it. You cannot hold in your heart envy, resentment, and bitterness and expect joy and peace to appear. The universe reflects you. It gives back what you send out through your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So the great challenge and the great opportunity is to build yourself first. Make yourself worthy of the success you desire. Cultivate the qualities that would naturally belong to the kind of person who already has what you seek. Think as they would think. Act as they would act. Live as they would live. When you do this, you are no longer chasing success. You are living in harmony with it. And like a magnet, it will find its way to you, drawn by the strength of the person you have become. When one studies the nature of accomplishment long enough, a pattern begins to emerge, and it is astonishing in its simplicity. Those who achieve remarkable things, who build lives of meaning and abundance, are not necessarily more intelligent, more gifted, or more fortunate than others. They are simply more directed. They live each day with a sense of purpose that acts like a compass, guiding their thoughts, decisions, and energy toward a chosen destination. Meanwhile, the vast majority wander through life reacting to circumstances rather than shaping them. They rise when they must, work because they have to, and dream vaguely of something better without ever deciding what that better truly is. It is not the lack of ability that holds people back. It is the absence of direction. Think of a great ship preparing to leave the harbor. Before the anchor is lifted, the captain and crew know precisely where they are going. The route is mapped, the supplies are loaded, and every member aboard understands his role in reaching the destination. The sea may be unpredictable, but the purpose of the voyage never changes. Now imagine another ship equal in strength and design, but with no map, no course, no crew trained for the journey. It simply drifts wherever the wind may blow. That second ship will almost certainly be lost, perhaps battered by storms or wrecked upon unseen rocks. The same is true of human life. Without a clearly defined goal, no person can arrive at any worthy place. Purpose is the foundation of progress. It transforms existence from mere survival into a creative adventure. It gives weight to the days and meaning to the struggles. Without it, time slips by unnoticed, and even victories feel hollow. The mind, like a finely tuned instrument, must have a note to play, otherwise it produces only noise. Once you choose a purpose, something definite and inspiring, you give your mind a melody to follow. Every thought begins to fall into harmony with it, and every action becomes a step toward its fulfillment. The reason so many never discover their true potential is that they never take the time to decide what they truly want. They wish vaguely to be happy, successful, or comfortable, but they never translate those wishes into clear, specific goals. A wish is a cloud, a goal is a blueprint. Until it is written down, until it is visualized and made tangible, it has no power to direct your life. The moment you define it, even in simple terms, you awaken forces within yourself that begin to move you toward it. The human mind cannot resist a definite aim. It is built to pursue it. Every person has within them two invisible forces, one that pushes forward and one that holds back. The one that pushes is desire, the natural longing to grow, to expand, to create. The one that holds back is fear, the voice of doubt that whispers, "It's too risky," or "You're not ready." The miracle of purpose is that it silences fear by giving it no room to speak. When you know exactly where you're going, you stop worrying about every small obstacle on the path. You become like an arrow in flight, fixed upon the target, cutting through resistance because the destination has already been chosen. Once you commit to a definite direction, everything around you begins to organize itself to help you reach it. Opportunities that once went unnoticed appear. People who can assist you seem to cross your path at the right time. This is not luck, it is the law of focus at work. Whatever occupies your dominant thoughts expands. When your mind is fixed upon a worthy goal, you start recognizing patterns, connections, and openings that align with it. Your behavior changes subtly but powerfully. You speak differently, act with more confidence, and begin to carry an energy that draws cooperation from others. But direction alone is not enough. It must be supported by discipline and persistence. There will be days when your goal feels distant, when obstacles seem endless, and when the temptation to abandon the course is strong. Yet these moments are not signs of failure. They are part of the refining process. The winds that test the ship are the same winds that prove its strength. Challenges are the universe's way of asking, "Are you serious about your destination?" Every time you persist despite difficulty, you strengthen your character, and your purpose grows roots that no storm can uproot. It is often said that the person who knows what he wants is already halfway there. This is profoundly true. Once the direction is set, the mind becomes magnetized. It attracts ideas and rejects distractions automatically. Every great inventor, artist, and leader throughout history has used this principle. They began with an idea so clear and so vivid that it burned in their imagination day and night. The world around them may have doubted, but their inner vision never wavered. And because the mind cannot hold an image without working toward it, the reality eventually followed. You see, success is not built from chance meetings or random events. It is built from clarity of thought. Most people wait for life to show them where to go, but the ones who rise above the crowd are those who tell life where they intend to go. The difference is monumental. The first group is at the mercy of circumstance, the second commands it. Purpose turns wandering energy into concentrated power. It transforms motion into progress and dreams into results. So the task before every person is simple but not easy to decide. Decide what you want, decide where you are going, and decide that nothing will stop you until you get there. The act of decision alone, made firmly, sincerely, and with conviction, has more power than most people realize. It is the first movement of creation. Once you make it, life begins to respond in ways that seem miraculous. You find courage where once there was hesitation, discipline where once there was apathy, and opportunity where once there was only uncertainty. The world makes way for the person who knows where they are going, because they have become rare, and those who are rare, as always, lead the way for the rest. There is a silent war taking place within every human mind, a battle between creation and destruction, between faith and fear, between purpose and doubt. This war does not happen in the world outside. It happens in thought. The quality of a person's thoughts determines the quality of their life. Everything you see, everything you own, every opportunity you experience begins first as an idea within your mind. And the outcome of that inner dialogue determines whether you live in confidence or confusion, whether you rise with determination or shrink beneath fear. The greatest power known to man is the power of thought, yet it is the one most often ignored or misunderstood. We have been given this extraordinary tool, capable of shaping worlds, curing disease, building empires, and creating art beyond imagination. But few ever learn to use it properly. Most people allow their minds to run uncontrolled, thinking random thoughts, reacting to circumstances, and entertaining fears that serve no purpose. But the truth is simple: you cannot live a positive life with a negative mind. You cannot expect prosperity while dwelling on poverty, nor expect peace while nurturing anger and resentment. The mind must be disciplined just as the body must be trained. The thoughts you hold most often become the patterns that shape your destiny. Each day, you are broadcasting invisible signals through your thinking, and those signals draw back experiences that match their frequency. Think thoughts of courage, and life gives you opportunities to be brave. Think thoughts of growth, and life opens doors for learning. But think thoughts of failure, and you will find evidence everywhere to prove it true. The mind, like fertile soil, will grow whatever is planted, whether weeds or flowers. And because this law works unfailingly, the responsibility is ours to decide what seeds we will sow. It begins with awareness. Most people are so accustomed to their own thinking that they no longer notice it. They believe their thoughts are reactions to the world, when in truth the world is reacting to their thoughts. Every complaint, every criticism, every fear quietly reinforces a pattern that attracts more of the same. But the moment a person becomes aware of this process, they awaken to a remarkable truth. They are not victims of their thoughts. They are the masters of them. And from that realization springs freedom, for no one and nothing can enslave a mind that governs itself. To control your thoughts is not to suppress them, but to choose them. It is to stand guard at the gate of your mind and allow entry only to ideas that serve your purpose. When doubt knocks, let it pass by. When fear whispers, replace it with a greater vision. The human mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. When one dominates, the other disappears. So feed the mind with images of what you desire, not what you dread. Read books that inspire, listen to voices that uplift. Spend time in environments that reflect the future you want, not the past you've outgrown. It has been said that, as within, so without, and this is not poetry, it is law. Your outer world is the reflection of your inner state. A person filled with gratitude finds reasons every day to be thankful, while a person filled with resentment finds evidence of unfairness wherever they look. Two people can face the same challenge. One sees an opportunity to grow, the other sees a reason to quit. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the interpretation. You do not see the world as it is, you see it as you are. When you begin to think deliberately, life changes in ways that can seem miraculous. The right people appear, ideas flow effortlessly, and circumstances start aligning with your purpose. But it is not magic. It is simply that your mind has stopped scattering its energy in 100 directions. You are no longer reacting to everything around you. You are projecting something from within. This kind of focus turns ordinary individuals into creators. It gives them power, calm, and clarity. Fear, of course, will try to return. It always does. It will disguise itself as reason, as caution, even as humility. It will whisper that your dreams are too ambitious, that success belongs to others, that you are safer staying where you are. But fear has power only when believed. The instant you recognize it as an illusion, it fades. Fear is imagination misused. It is the mind rehearsing failure instead of success. Train your mind to imagine victory, to visualize progress, to see yourself already living the life you desire. The same energy that builds anxiety can build confidence. The only difference is the direction in which it flows. To master the mind is to master life. There will always be difficulties, but they will no longer control you. You will understand that the mind, once disciplined, becomes a servant rather than a master. It works tirelessly to bring you what you command. If you dwell on limitation, it will build walls around you. If you dwell on freedom, it will find doors where none seem to exist. The greatest discoveries, the most extraordinary transformations, always begin with a single decision: to think differently. Every person listening has the same power. It is not reserved for the few, the gifted, or the fortunate. The same laws of thought that built the world will build your future. The moment you take command of your thinking, you step out of the crowd of conformity and into the ranks of creation. You begin to live by design instead of default. You stop waiting for the world to change and realize that the world changes when you do. And so, it begins not with luck, nor chance, nor circumstance, but with a thought. A single disciplined, purposeful thought held long enough, nurtured with belief and acted upon with courage, becomes the seed of a new reality. What you think, you become. What you imagine, you attract. And what you believe, you create. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must make a choice: to continue as they are, or to rise and claim the power that has always been theirs. This moment rarely arrives with fanfare. It often comes quietly in the middle of an ordinary day, when something inside whispers, "There must be more than this." It is the voice of potential calling out, urging you to stop waiting and start creating. For all the years you may spend searching for success, the truth is that it has been waiting for you to wake up to it. The turning point begins not in the world around you, but in the decision within you. When a person finally decides to live deliberately, everything changes. They begin to see that every thought, every act, every habit is a cause, and that life is nothing more than a reflection of those causes. The timid once believed they were trapped by circumstance, but now they see that they were only trapped by indecision. The moment they choose a definite goal and commit to it, life begins to respond. Opportunities appear where there were none. Strength rises from places once empty. The invisible becomes visible, not because the world changed, but because their perception did. It is a law as real as gravity. What you hold in your mind, you move toward. What you neglect in your mind, you move away from. The person who constantly thinks about fear and failure prepares a path straight toward them. The one who thinks of growth and possibility begins to carve out a road toward success. Thought is the blueprint, belief is the foundation, and action is the building. Together they construct the life you desire. You cannot have one without the other, for a thought without action is a dream, and action without thought is chaos. To decide upon a goal is to engage the most powerful mechanism in existence, the creative faculty of the human mind. Once a definite purpose is chosen, a kind of magnetism takes hold. You begin to notice things you had overlooked before. The right people, the right ideas, the right circumstances start crossing your path. It seems uncanny, but it is not chance. You have simply tuned your mind to a higher frequency, and like a radio receiver, it is now picking up signals that were always there, but previously ignored. That is the power of awareness. It brings to light what was hidden in plain sight. But awareness alone is not enough. The next step is belief. To believe is to act as though success were inevitable. It is to live each day knowing that your goal is not merely possible, but certain, because the law of cause and effect cannot fail. Belief is the fuel that keeps the engine of progress running when results are not yet visible. The farmer does not question whether his crop will grow. He plants, waters, and tends with faith in the unseen process. The same faith must exist in the pursuit of any goal. You cannot reap before you sow, but you must sow with conviction that the harvest will come. The person who holds belief in their heart and vision in their mind becomes unstoppable. They are no longer disturbed by the opinions of others, for they understand that most people speak from limitation, not knowledge. They are no longer discouraged by temporary setbacks, for they recognize that failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. Every setback teaches, refines, strengthens. Each disappointment is a tool for growth, a hidden step in the stairway to mastery. The wise person does not fear failure, they use it. They learn its lessons and rise higher because of it. And yet, belief and purpose must always be joined by action. Dreams alone build nothing. The greatest minds in history were not simply thinkers. They were doers. They understood that motion creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Each small act, taken consistently and with intention, compounds over time into extraordinary achievement. A single drop of water seems insignificant, but steady drops over centuries can carve through mountains. So it is with disciplined effort. Every day you move in the direction of your goal, even by a fraction, you are reshaping your destiny. There will come moments of doubt, days when progress feels invisible, when the results seem too far away. But those are the moments that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. The one who endures, who holds the vision even when the evidence is unseen, will always prevail. The law of cause and effect never forgets a seed. What you plant with consistency and nurture with faith must, in time, bear fruit. The key is patience, the willingness to continue sowing until the season of harvest arrives. Every person listening to these words possesses within them the same power that has built nations, cured diseases, and created miracles. It is not a gift given to a select few. It belongs to all. The only requirement is understanding and use. When you take responsibility for your thoughts, when you discipline your mind to dwell only on what you desire, when you back those thoughts with unwavering belief and tireless action, success is not a question. It is an outcome. And then one day, often quietly, you will look around and realize that the world you once imagined has become your reality. The people, the opportunities, the peace of mind, all of it was drawn to you by the person you became. You will understand that the power was never outside you. It was within you all along, waiting for recognition. And in that realization lies true freedom. The freedom to shape your destiny. To rise each morning knowing that the world is not something happening to you, but something responding to you. From that moment forward, life ceases to be a struggle and becomes a creation. A masterpiece painted by the thoughts, beliefs, and actions of its master. And so, when all is said and done, it comes down to a single, unshakable truth. The greatest discovery of our age is that human beings become what they think about. Every triumph, every breakthrough, every work of genius has been born first in the quiet chambers of thought. The mind, when disciplined and directed, becomes the most powerful force known to man. It can lift one from despair to greatness, from poverty to abundance, from confusion to clarity. The years pass quickly. Seasons change, opportunities appear and vanish, but one thing remains constant, the law of cause and effect that governs all creation. You are not a leaf blown by the wind of circumstance. You are the captain of your ship, the designer of your destiny. Life will not give you what you wish for. It will give you what you demand of yourself. The moment you decide upon a definite purpose, believe in it completely, and act toward it consistently, you set in motion a process that cannot fail. Do not wait for luck, for luck is simply preparation meeting opportunity. Do not wait for permission, for the world steps aside for the one who knows where they are going. Begin now, this very moment, to fill your mind with images of the life you wish to live. Let no idle, fearful, or negative thought take root, for every thought carries within it the seed of its own fulfillment. Guard your mind as you would guard a treasure, because it is one. Success is not an accident, nor is failure a mystery. Both are the direct results of what you allow to dwell in your mind each day. Think deliberately, act purposefully, and live gratefully. The laws of the universe will move quietly and steadily in your favor. For the person who understands this truth, every day becomes a new beginning. Every challenge a test of growth, and every achievement a reminder that the real power was never out there. It was within, waiting to be used. And if there is one final message to remember, it is this: you have within you right now everything necessary to design the life you dream of. You are not limited by the world, only by the limits you accept in your mind. Think clearly, believe deeply, act decisively. And never forget, your future is not something that happens to you. It is something you create, thought by thought, day by day, until the life you once imagined stands before you as your living reality.